folks, we're going to go ahead and get started. Good morning. My name is Mark Ezell. I am the director of the North Carolina Governor's Highway Safety Program. And on behalf of Governor Roy Cooper, I want to welcome you to the statewide kickoff of the Labor Day Booze It and Lose It campaign. This is special for us because we are on the beautiful campus of Winston-Salem State University. I want to thank the Chancellor, Dr. Robinson, his impressive staff here at Winston-Salem State. John Keppel, Chief Henry, and others have been just extraordinary to work with. We are happy to have with us Chief Thompson and others. We also want to recognize guests that we have today, including our law enforcement partners, and we also want to recognize the extraordinary presence of Winston-Salem State University students, especially those representing the fraternities and sororities. If I try to call out every frat and sorority here, I'll miss somebody, and I know that wouldn't work well. So, the statewide Booze It and Lose It campaign is going to be starting on Monday, August 30th, and running through Sunday, September 12th, throughout North Carolina. From Murphy to Mania, this campaign will feature enhanced communications, prevention, and enforcement messages to encourage folks to not drink and drive and to catch those who do. This is the 28th year that we have been running Booze It and Lose It campaigns during Labor Day, because we know that Labor Day can be a particularly dangerous time on our roads. Now, last year, I'll be honest, it was an awful year for roadway deaths. It was an awful year in a lot of ways, but our roadway deaths really skyrocketed at a time when the amount of vehicle miles that we travel plummeted. We lost almost 1,500 people last year on North Carolina roadways. Almost 350 of those were involved in an impaired driving crash. Several of those people died during Labor Day this time last year due to impaired driving crashes. Now, this is tragic for any communities, but it hits the black community especially hard. Over the past 5 years for which we have data, an average of over 400 African Americans have died on North Carolina roads, and over 110 per year in crashes involving an impaired driver. And the number of black drivers killed on North Carolina roads is much higher per vehicle miles traveled than for whites. And we see this nationally. Traffic crashes are a health disparity issue. And the Governor's Highway Safety Program is committed to treating it as such. We also know that traffic deaths hit young adults at a much higher rate than those over the age of 35. But we can be the difference. And all of you are here today because you believe that. To help us spread this message today, we have not only our wonderful Winston-Salem State students, the fraternities and sororities, we have, as I mentioned, Dr. Elwood Robinson, the Chancellor of Winston-Salem State University, here to make a few remarks. Dr. Robinson, thank you.
Good morning. Thanks for everyone for joining us today. Certainly thank Governor Cooper for this initiative. I want to say that we are grateful to be here to be able to launch this campaign that's starting next Monday. Here at Winston-Salem State University, safety of our students is our highest priority. The health of our students is our highest priority. And we're delighted to be here in this city in Winston-Salem, where the health and safety of our citizens are also our highest priority. In terms of drinking and alcohol consumption, it has been so much a part of my career. A long time ago in another career, I was director of an alcohol research center at North Carolina Central University, where we explored all the deleterious effects of drinking, whether that's in psychological, behavioral, physiological. That was what I did for almost over 20 years in the research arena. A large part of that research was also conducted on college students. A large part of that research was also on African American college students in terms of looking at drinking and behavior. So in terms of awareness about the effects of alcohol, it has been so much a part of my own research agenda in my own personal life as well. It is important, as was just pointed out, and not a lot of people know, that there are racial disparities in terms of fatalities on our highways. What is interesting, however, is that we can do something about it. Awareness campaigns like this, initiatives like this, where we have the entire community involved. So I'm delighted to stand here this morning with all these folks behind me. Everyone behind me, law enforcement, students, sororities and fraternities, and all of our organizations. Each year on this campus at Winston-Salem State University, there's an initiative about how not to drink, or if you drink, how to drink properly and appropriately. And certainly there's always an initiative about drinking and driving, because that's so serious. A lot of people don't know, and I'll make you aware of that today. Driving an automobile may be the most difficult thing that you ever do. It may also be the most risky thing that you ever do, because of the design that we have in terms of traffic on our highways. And think about then trying to drive and to be impaired and not being at full capacity. And so we are here today to say that we are partnering with this governor's initiative. We believe in it, we support it, and we're going to do everything we can to raise awareness, certainly on our campus, but throughout this entire city. We're delighted to be a part of this program today. And so thanks everyone for being out and joining us in this program. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Robinson. And as you mentioned, your role as one of the nation's leading researchers around alcohol and those effects. Your work with North Carolina Central and the Bowl Center gives you specific and unique perspective on the dangers here. Another person who has unique perspectives on the dangers of alcohol use on our roads is the Winston-Salem Police Chief, Catrina Thompson. Chief Thompson has been one of the governor's highway safety program's most valuable partners through the years. We thank her and her officers and all the other law enforcement that are here today for their presence and dedication. I'd like to now call on Chief Thompson to say a few words. Chief?
Good morning. I am Catrina Thompson, Chief of Police for the Winston-Salem Police Department. I first would like to also thank Governor Roy Cooper and Director Ezell for continuing these efforts to keep our roads and motorists safe in the state of North Carolina. I'd also like to thank Dr. Elwood Robinson and my law enforcement partner and colleague, Chief Amir Henry, for hosting this event on the beautiful campus of Winston-Salem State University. I'd like to welcome everyone to our great city of Winston-Salem. We are extremely proud that our city was selected to host the Kickoff for the Labor Day Booze It and Lose It campaign, sponsored by the North Carolina Governor's Highway Safety Program. When citizens drive under the influence or commit moving violations on our roadways, it has significant and often devastating consequences. The Winston-Salem Police Department is part of the North Carolina's first DWI task force. This task force has been funded by the Governor's Highway Safety Program since 2009 and is entering its 12th year this October. The multi-agency, multi-jurisdictional task force is comprised of 7 members who serve throughout Forsyth County. In the 11 years the task force have been in operation, the team has pulled over 6,000 impaired drivers from the streets and seized over 600 vehicles, totaling nearly $4 million. The task force is not only focused on removing impaired drivers, but also education and prevention. We want to stop people from getting DWIs by thinking twice before they even get into the vehicle. We've done this through teaching just over 500 impact classes. We've also reached more than 18,000 students through our education programs. Our agency is committed to protecting the citizens and motorists of Winston-Salem. It is important for us to work together to keep ourselves and our classmates, families, and neighbors safe. We here on this illustrious campus of Winston-Salem State University, WSSU is no different than any other campus around our country in that there are a lot of pedestrians. A very busy street, Martin Luther King Jr. Drive, also runs through our campus. Please, please, please pay attention while walking on this campus, but especially when crossing Martin Luther King Jr. Drive. Use the crosswalks. They are there for your safety as pedestrians. We just had a pedestrian hit and killed by a vehicle not even 3 miles from here just yesterday. It's easy to say this won't happen to me, but the reality is people make poor decisions to disobey traffic laws and drive while impaired on a daily basis. Yes, it could happen to you, but you have the power to keep yourself and the motorists in our community safe. Obey traffic laws. Do what you can do to keep someone you know from driving impaired. And if you witness someone driving while impaired, report it immediately. We all have to work together to keep Winston-Salem and our Forsyth County and North Carolina safe. Thank you so much, and please drive carefully.
Thank you, Chief Thompson. I'm glad that you made the reminder concerning pedestrian safety. We know nationally and in North Carolina that one of the more troubling trends that we have on our roads is an increase in the number of pedestrians who are killed. We're seeing that not just in Winston-Salem, but we're seeing that in areas all across North Carolina. And it's going to take attention on the part of the pedestrian, on the motorist. It's going to take quality engineering. It's going to take quality messaging to actually deal with this rising issue of pedestrian deaths on our roads. Now, you can hear from experts all day long about pedestrian safety or about alcohol use, but nothing quite hits home like hearing from somebody who's been personally impacted by impaired driving. I'd like to call now on Justin Hubbard to tell us a little bit about his story concerning impaired driving. Justin?
Thank you. So a few years ago, around 1 a.m., a close friend of mine, somebody who I consider family, made a decision that would change his life, another family's life, and countless other individuals' lives forever. I'm one of those people, and I'm here to tell you how that decision can affect so many lives. I'll never forget that phone call. I just finished work, just got home, just laid down. It was around 1 a.m. The phone rang. By the caller ID and by the time of the night, I knew something was wrong. I answered the phone. It was my best friend's mother. I could immediately hear in her voice that something was terribly wrong. All I knew at that time is that my best friend was involved in a wreck. So got dressed, went to the hospital. When I got to the hospital is when I learned the severity of the situation. I learned that somebody that I knew was dead and that my best friend was the cause of that. He was in surgery at the time. We weren't sure if he was going to make it at that time as well. Y'all might be wondering why I keep continuing to call it a decision and not a mistake. A lot of times you will hear this referred to as a mistake. To me, it's not a mistake. A mistake is unintentional. A decision, whether it's right or wrong, has consequences. That's the difference. So I know with my whole heart that his intent was not to kill his best friend, but it was a decision he made to get behind the wheel while driving while impaired. That night, both families lost somebody. So the deceased lost their family member forever. There's no words that can describe that pain. There's nothing that we can do to help ease that. But the person who survived, that family also lost somebody. Emotionally, he'll never be the same. And physically, right now, he is in prison right now. So he is not here. This is somebody that I spent every day with, somebody I leaned on. He leaned on me, I leaned on him. He's not here. He is in prison, so he's missing all this time right now due to a decision that he made. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about that night. There's not a day that goes by that he doesn't think about that night. And I know the deceased family, there's not a day that goes by, probably not a second that goes by that they don't think about their loved one that they lost. My friend, he recounts that day every single day. While he's in prison, he does want me to tell his story. And hopefully when he gets out, he'll be able to tell his story himself. It's 2021, guys. There's never a time where it's okay to drive while impaired. We have so many resources out there. There's Uber. Everybody has a cell phone. Call somebody. I wish more than anything that I would have got a phone call that night before they decided to get in that vehicle. I would have been there. I know any of you guys would make that decision to go help somebody in need. I went to ECU. There was plenty of parties, plenty of drinking. So I'm not here to say that you guys shouldn't have a good time. I'm just here to say, make that conscious decision to not get behind the wheel. Do not get in the car with somebody that's been drinking. It's a decision that you'll regret. There's never a good outcome. It's not an if, it's a when. It always ends in tragedy. The best outcome that could happen for DWI is a law enforcement officer stop you and arrest you. Even with that, there's consequences. So I'm just here to tell you guys it's not worth it. This is something I still deal with every day. Please make that decision today to never get behind the wheel impaired. Do not get in the vehicle with somebody impaired. I don't want any of you to have to go through the pain that I've been through, the pain that my best friend is going through, or absolutely the pain that the deceased family is going through. Be safe. Have fun while you're here at Winston-Salem State. Go Rams. Thank you, guys.
Justin, thank you for those good words. Once again, I'd like to thank the Chancellor, Chancellor Robinson, Chief Thompson, Justin, the great staff at Winston-Salem State, and all our partners today. Remember, again, the Labor Day Booze It and Lose It campaign is statewide. It's going to be running from Monday, August 30th, until Sunday, September 12th. Please follow GHSP on our social media, on Facebook. Tag us on Twitter at NC-GHSP and Instagram as well. We look forward to having a safe and productive Labor Day, and we ask that everyone be safe during this time, and we thank you for the opportunity to be here at Winston-Salem State, and go Rams. Thank you. Fraternities and sororities here at Winston-Salem State will be handing out rack cards that explain the dangers of drinking and driving. We'll be handing that out on campus to their fellow students. So we think that's going to be an effective way of getting the message out to folks here on campus. So, all right. Thank you.